very important business as we shine a light on the needs of learners with special needs in education. And of course, we're tackling this issue. It affects quite a number of our children. And I was reading one of the messages from one of our viewers who says that, you know, he's glad that we are doing this because in many areas you have parents who then start centers, you know, in the community just so that they can actually give some form of care to their children. But it has to be more than that. Government needs to play its part in making sure that the facilities, the schools exist so that there could be care given to these children and the necessary education, because I think we've come a long way from the days when parents with children with disabilities had to hide their child from society. We are way beyond that, and no child should be denied their right to education. And so Leanne is still out in Krugersdorp at the Curamus School, and she will be speaking to more of the stakeholders at the school as well as the MEC, if he has indeed arrived, Matume Chilwane, the Gauteng MEC for Education. We're just trying to establish contact with Leanne and the team once more. And I must say, I'm looking forward to hearing the learners there play us out. But of course, what we are going to do is see if we can get there. If not, we'll go to another story and we'll catch up with Leanne later on because she is there. But unfortunately, our connection seems to be failing us. I'm told that it's going to be now. Okay, they can hear us. So let's take you back to Krugersdorp where Leanne is at. Leanne?
All right, welcome back. Can't hear studio at the moment, so forgive me if you asked a question. I'm not going to comment on anything you're saying, but what I am going to do is welcome you back to the school. And we want to take things into a more serious issue now. And as much as we've seen how incredible the school is and how the kids are flourishing once they're in here, but what is it like to get in here? Because it was a parent that sent us her concerns that led us to say, hang on, this can't be right. I mean, waiting on a list for 5 years to get into a school when, as you can see, these children are in desperate need of it. You know, these are the stories from parents all around the country that want to get their children into special needs schools, but they can't because there is so much red tape to get in here and very few positions that are available for the kids to come in here. So I want to get a story now from one of the parents who have their child here at the school, Keneiloe Maqelepo, who is a parent here at Curamus School for Autism, whose son has got autism, but who is in the school now. It's so nice to have you to speak and be with us here on the program.
Okay. Good morning, Leanne. Thank you so much for the opportunity.
So your child, I'll ask you, and you can perhaps fill in all the stories as we go along. You waited 2 years to get your son into the school, but we're talking a good couple of years ago. He's here, and all is good. But in the beginning, what was this like for you?
The journey as a parent of an autistic child, it's very challenging, it's very stressful, it's endless, and it causes a lot of anxiety, confusion, because you don't know where to start as a parent. There's a lot of medical issues that you need to attend to. You've been sent from one doctor to the other. And what happens is that you cannot just come to the school and say, my child is not doing well, he can't talk, and then you just want to put your child into the school. There is a process that you need to follow. There is psychologists, children's psychologists to go to. There is occupational therapists, the speech therapists. There's a lot of doctors, and it's very intense. And I remember there was a time where my medical aid was exhausted, and I needed the report because the school wants to understand where they come from, because the school doesn't do diagnosis. Right. You have to get it from the doctor. Yeah. I think a lot of parents don't understand the frustration the school has as well, because if you don't have the correct documentation, it's like a normal school where you get your child to high school, they have to pass grade 6, right? Yeah. So it was very tedious, it was stressful, and it affects you emotionally as a parent, and it's tough. It's tough.
Your son, obviously born with autism, Is this the first school he's come to, or was he at another school?
Actually, my son wasn't born with autism. He started changing when he was 3-4 years old. At that age, you expect a child to be more flexible, more verbal, talk sentences, be there and be independent. And my child started regressing when he was 3 to 4 years old. He was at a normal school. And the principal there at that time called me and say, this is what's happening with the child. He would just sit in his own corner. He doesn't talk with other kids. What is going on? Is everything fine at home?
First question people
So that's
would
the
ask,
first
yeah.
question. I really had to take this seriously with Umulemo's father and say, this is what is happening. Luckily, I had my mom then, which is late, may her soul rest in peace. She was there because even if as a parent, it's difficult because you work a 9-to-5 job. You have to take your child from one place to the other, and it takes a lot of time. So my child was at a normal school.
Okay. Then obviously you were told he needs special attention,
Yes, he
needs a
can't,
special school. He comes home. Now you need to find a special school, because I know how much private schooling would cost. I mean, to get him into a specialized private school, there's a handful of children, of parents that can afford that. So you want to bring them to a facility like this, but to get in is the problem, and hence that was the story. So you now trying to get all the papers and documents in order to get him here, but that wait was excruciating.
Yes. Umulemo was in a waiting list for 2 years. 2 full years.
Yeah.
And, if you don't understand and you don't know as a parent, you will think the school doesn't want your child. And it's not the school. There is no space. The principal cannot do anything. So I think the Department of Education needs to accommodate us more.
Yeah.
Because at first I thought that school doesn't want to take my child. And, I was so emotional. It was so stressful.
Yeah.
I don't think autistic kids are accommodated as much as normal kids from the Department of Education.
Right, and cue the department, because look who's just arrived, the MEC. Please come on in. MEC, please join us. We know it's been a difficult one getting you here, but I'm so glad you've arrived, and you couldn't have arrived at a better time. This is one of the parents at the school. This, of course, is the MEC, the Gauteng MEC for Education, Matome Chelwane, and, of course, please meet Keneiloe, whose child goes here. MEC, you walked into this one, and I'm so glad you did, because there's a lot of questions. This is a phenomenal school, but the complaint coming from a lot of parents, why do they need to wait 5 years? 5 years to get into a school that can specialize and look after them? Perhaps that tells you there are not enough of these schools, or the criteria are too stringent.
Thank you. Good morning. 5 years, no. Actually, our records say it's between 3 to 4 months.
Okay, I'll dispute it straight away, MEC.
Yeah.
2 years. Keneiloe's been waiting. She waited 2 years to get her son into this school.
Okay.
We have a viewer that led us to come here who told us 5 years she waited. So your records are wrong.
No, definitely not. There are different reasons, and amongst those, sometimes parents prefer certain schools, like this one, but there are also other schools, and also have what we call a temporary setup, where there are schools that are able to support these learners up until we are able to place them. But our target is always between 3 to 4 months because of that process. So 5 years is a long time. And 5 years waiting, that parent should have come for a long time, and I don't know about it. And you say you waited for 2 years for this particular school. And if you would say to me that I've never been offered anything else, it's something else. But if you said, no, I was offered, but I prefer, because parents have preferences.
So perhaps maybe, may I ask you, did you turn up a school? Was it that you didn't like the offer that came your way?
Yes, the other schools were very far, not close to where we are as a parent. So I think in that case, 5 years, But at that time, my child started here, MSc, in 2016. So I had to wait from 2014-15, and then he only started 2 years later.
Yeah.
So I'm glad to hear that MEC is saying 4 months maximum. It means the system has changed and there is a lot of improvement.
Well, I certainly hope so. But one of the other frustrations, and MEC, sorry for coming at you like this, but we need to, because these are the questions that are desperately needing answer. Before you go away, Keneiloe, I just want you, if you don't mind staying with me, because I think I want to speak to someone from experience. And MEC, you can answer these questions. I don't have a child who's in this, so we're going on what parents are telling us. Some of the measures to get into the schools, is there no way there could be a testing facility that is based at the school that can treat the children, find out if they qualify? Because it seems that it's very, very hard to get the documentation as parents together to give to a school so they can be accepted. I'm not sure if you're aware of those difficulties.
Remember, educational specialists, it's a specialized skill, and there are not too many of them. So with the capacity we have, and that's why we have such a delay sometimes, because they need to go to an educational specialist, and the report from the specialist then will come with a set recommendation that should the child go to a remedial school, etc. So that is where where we have a biggest challenge because of that aspect. But overall, in terms of getting all the capacity into school, it can be a bit more expensive because it means we must have higher one in every school, and which is a challenge that we cannot deal with now.
Indeed, and the costs are high for
the
that.
cost, yes.
So here's an idea, and we were chatting off air, and perhaps you want to share with the MEC, because it's ideas that come from parents that perhaps go into action. I mean, you were saying perhaps instead of each individual parent having to go and afford to get them assessed, because that costs. What would something like that cost, firstly? And secondly, the idea you had of perhaps having a day where parents with children with special needs that the department plans, you bring specialists, and then you actually look at the kids and say, definitely, and it's something that's done for free. So perhaps you can talk through that process.
Okay, MSC, what I spoke to Leanne earlier on was that if we can have focus days for special kids, at the stadium or at the hall, community halls, where we bring the occupational therapists, the speech therapists, to assess those children so that it makes it easier for them when they go and find a school or understand what is it with their kids. Because not every child is autistic. There is different kind of disorders that children have.
Which I think is quite an idea. So perhaps maybe, what do you think of that, something like that, MEC, to assist parents?
No, I'm amenable to the idea. Every year we do have an event on the 2nd of April. This year will be on the 6th because of the weekend. However, I'm amenable to the idea that we can broaden out and expand it to different areas. We can look into that.
Yeah, because MEC, I mean, what we've seen here today has been incredible. In fact, your son is even here. And you were saying since he got here, there he is. I mean, I know we've got to run into news time, but I'm so sad about this. But so we actually are going to come back. So if I can get everybody to sort of stay where we are, we just need to get some news headlines. But this is Keneiloe's son, Omolemo. And MEC, I mean, before he came here, he couldn't speak. Is that right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Wow. The school is amazing. The teachers are very qualified. They're highly qualified. They know how to deal with these kids. It's so emotional. So Omolemo, when he started here, he couldn't say a sentence. When he's hungry, he would say, "Mommy, food." Yeah. But now Omolemo can simply say, "Mommy, I'm hungry. I want food." Yeah. He can combine sentences like never before. Amazing. He's confident. He used to be running around all over, but now he knows that he needs to be stable. And
can I give Omolemo his TV debut? Can you tell him to link to the news in studio? Is that a big one? Just say, "Here is your news." We could do that? Here is your news.
Just say, "Here is your news."
Here's your news. Good morning to ladies and gentlemen.